What's going on, guys, and welcome to episode 11 of the Fallen for Film podcast. I'm your host, Ryan O'Toole, and I got my co-host, Colin Williams, right here. Colin, how you doing, man?
I am doing good. I am on summer break, as you know. I work in the education world, so freedom at last, away from those little suckers. No, I'm just kidding. I wasn't even with them the past couple months either. We're at the quarantine. But yeah, I'm excited to jump into the movie news. And this was a really long week once again. We were working all this. So we have big movie news to get into it, and we have maybe our biggest guest ever. So I think that's
probably too big to be here. But anyway, we got some very exciting movie news, just like Colin touched upon. Lots of things to talk about, and an awesome guest right here. You probably don't know him. He's got a YouTube channel. He does lots of videos over there. He also has a podcast, just like what we do. It's Sean Chandler. Sean, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I went swimming for the first time this year.
Wow,
right before this, so it was pretty wild to actually be able to go swimming in water. It was very cold, even though I'm in Texas. The sun isn't out today, so it wasn't a fun swim. But I did get to go swimming today. So if you're watching the video version of whatever, my hair looks fluffy.
I did notice that it was a slight fluff to you.
Guys, we gotta address the. We gotta address the elephant in the room. You shaved.
I did.
Yeah.
First, I think clean shave in a full year, but then I had the crazy man beard there for quarantine. Yeah. And, I wanted to be able to since the sun's out, even out my tan on my face. So the beard had to go for a little bit. So thinking about the important things in life.
Sean's shaved his beard. I'm wearing a hat for the first time in 5 years, so things are weird.
Yeah, I got my hair cut. Colin wearing a hat. Sean shaved.
It's a 1-2 punch with me too, because it's very rare that I'll go on a video without a hat or without having a ton of hairspray and other stuff in my hair to make it not move. And so seeing actual floppy hair that can do whatever, and I shaved. That's
we're getting authentic Sean Chandler on the podcast. This is the real deal right here.
Episode title, Sean Shaved. Well, yeah, Sean, what we love to do, we like to come up with random episode titles. But anyway, guys, so before we get into all the movie news, since Sean is our guest, we're just going to talk a little bit, we're just going to talk. And obviously, there's stuff going on right now. We don't want to get political on the show, first of all. This is a movie podcast. And pretty much on my channel, I don't talk politics or real world issues or woke agendas, stuff like that. But it'd be crazy if we don't talk briefly about what's going on in the world. Right, Colin?
Yeah, I just figured we just briefly mention it, not pushing any agendas or anything. It's just basically I've been seeing on social media a whole lot, on Twitter and stuff. There's so much toxic nature. I'm sure you know this, Sean, all over the internet, and you see so much negativity. Yeah, you have. And I just want to try and highlight this area of there's so many good people in this world, and there's so many people with such great hearts, and to not just see the things you see online and just want to hate on everything and be so negative. With all these protests going on, just please be safe and do it the right way, and just realize that there's good in this world. And I know 2020 has been rough, I guess. So I just wanted to say that.
That is one way to describe it.
That is one way to describe it. So I just want to say that quickly. So before we jumped in, because it'd be just weird. We're in our own little movie world, and that's fun and fine and dandy every now and then. But we got to address the elephant in the room. What's been going on this past week is what happened with the, unfortunate murder of that guy. It was awful. So just wanted to mention it and then move on with the show and talk about things we love. So
yeah. I just wanted Colin to say everything, but stay safe, be kind to people. That's all I gotta say. But anyway, guys, before we jump into the movie news, how you guys been doing? Sean, since you're a guest, I'll kick it off with you, man. I know you got a podcast as well, doing lots of videos and stuff like that, full-time work during this pandemic. What's this experience been like for you?
It's actually it's disorienting in a lot of ways, because since I work from home, my wife works from home. It in the one sense, we're just kind of so isolated from so much other stuff kind of going on, and like we read about it on our phone and everything like that. But I'm still just creating videos and everything like that. We just don't leave our house, and so it makes every day kind of like you get lost in the mix because every day's the same as every other day.
What day
There's
is
nowhere to be. Yeah, and so even to that point, like we were supposed to stream this deal 3.5 hours ago, but like I like in the middle, it was like, oh, this is the one day I'm leaving my house to go to my in-laws' house to go swimming. The first day in like 3 months I've left my house, and it's like the one day that I couldn't do the time that I told you. And it was legitimately because I just was so out of practice of like even thinking I might leave my house that I need to check my schedule. And so it's kind of all that weird stuff of just you feel like in this weird cyclical little bubble of everything. And especially because, you know, my kids, they left for spring break back at the beginning of March.
Mm-hmm.
Or they came home for spring break at the beginning of March and they haven't left yet.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was legitimately like, yeah, it's just a normal spring break. You guys should be back in 10 days. Nope.
Well,
I work. It was canceled.
Well, yeah, I work at a school, and we were like, oh, spring break, and a lot of the kids were like, I don't know if we're coming back, and I was like, yeah, neither do I. And I'm at my grandmother's house, kind of just trying to enjoy the vacation, and then all of a sudden it was like 1 week after would be suspended, like we wouldn't be going to school, and then just like, oh, now it's going to be till this day, and now it's the rest of the year, and now we don't even know what we're going to do for next. I'm so stressed out already 2 months in advance of what we're going to do next year, but
right,
it's almost June. Yeah, it's almost June.
Just I don't. It's one of those ones, especially as a parent, like trying to explain to my kids, this is weird, this is not normal, and this is going to be one of those things you're going to talk about literally for your whole life. That they'll try and remember these little things that are happening.
And I live in Florida, so we have like hella hurricanes, and I remember like distinct memories when we were young. Mm-hmm. And then of course like 9/11 also happened when I was young. So like this is for like the kids your age. Yes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or the kids for your age, for your kids, yeah.
And then even whatever's decided to make 2020 the year of crazy, and it's not just that we're all locked at home. It's not just that. Like everything of the last week. These are huge milestones in our country of like waking up to things going on, massive, gigantic social unrest over things. And it's all in the year 2020. It's like, kids, this is important. Like your kids are going to read about some of this in a history book. Actually, they won't read about it in a history book because we won't use books by the time you have kids. But this is like history's being written right now, and it won't even be a tablet on their holograph projector out of their wrist. They will watch a video about stuff happening in the year 2020. It's such a strange little window of time that we're in. Of everything is memorable. It's all over the place in different ways. But if I'm being honest, like it hasn't for me personally been a bad little window of time. It's been nice to have the time with my kids, and in a certain sense, also having a break from having the grind of having to watch new movies at the theater.
Yeah,
love new movies. Can't wait for more new movies. At the same time, when it's like, man, I got to make it to the theater 2-3 times this week, and like, wife, can I go this time? Can I do this? And oh, you need me to watch the kids, and like press screenings are like 45 minutes away from where I live, and so it's like, and it's right at rush hour, and so then to get to a press screening that's like 40-minute drive turns a 90-minute drive. I mean, it's a whole deal. Now it's just kind of this weird relaxing time period where the world's falling apart, but I'm just at home watching TV and playing video games.
There is kind of a positive to that, but I feel you. I do feel you on the having to see new movies, going to the movie theaters, working for me, doing all this. I'm an essential employee. I work, I see movies, I do YouTube, I do all this, and so now during this time, the world is crumbling, but we're at our homes, we're getting creative, trying to find things to do, and I started the podcast because of this pandemic.
We have not had a pandemic-free podcast, not one. We started like basically when this started, so maybe it's us. Maybe it's us. We're cursed.
It's our fault. But So Colin, you have something to review, sir. Like
leading up to Mr. Sean Chandler being on the podcast, and a movie, you and we loved the movie you love so dearly, and a film I had not seen. I saw Warrior leading up to
finally,
and it was great. I don't really have too crazy review, but basically I knew I had to watch it because I don't even know if we were going to talk about it, but I was like, okay, Sean recommends this movie all the time. I have to watch this movie at least right before we do it. And yeah, it's great. It's great. I don't know. It's like exactly what, I think a little predictable at points, but the ending brought me to tears. And yeah, it was wonderful. My girlfriend really loved it as well.
Were you sweating? Like, were you sweating during the last 50 to 40 minutes? Because
the thing was, because you knew they were going to end up fighting the brothers. You knew that was going to be the case. And you're just waiting for that anticipation for that to happen. And you see the part where like Joel Edgerton's like, stop, Tommy, stop. Like, and it's just, I was like, oh my God. And Joel Edgerton, he needs to be in more movies. He's great. He's
super underrated.
Yeah, very underrated and great director as well.
Yeah, I love Warrior too. Like, it's a masterpiece.
It's great. And it's your one of your favorite movies of all time, right, Sean? I believe it was made.
Yeah, absolutely. Did my top 20 in January, and it was on there, and then best of the decade as well. So yeah, just one of those movies that kind of out Rocky's Rocky.
Yeah, if we're talking like best acted scenes I've ever seen, it's Nick Nolte's freak out scene. That is one of the greatest acted scenes I've ever seen. Like, yeah,
he broke my heart in that movie too.
Yeah, that was great. And he's a Mandalorian. And so so anyway, we've just been watching lots of things, preparing for different things. Obviously, Tenet is supposed to come out in July. And so, Sean, I know you're starting up a Nolan series, getting it.
I did. You guys saw this as I opened the package in the middle right before we started. Picked up Memento and The Prestige. Watched following his directorial debut that's in black and white, shot on 16 millimeter.
It's like a $30,000 budget or something.
Yeah, I mean, very, very cheaply made film, but still has that Nolan spark to it. And so then I start my review series on that next week. Hopefully they don't delay the movie. It was just like we get close enough and it's like I just have to. I'm actually behind on starting the series, and maybe I'm going to end up being very early on the series if they push it back.
Yeah, I'm nervous on the MCU series I'm doing. I'm like, please don't get pushed back.
Please don't. Yeah, me too. I was going to do a Nolan series at the start of this year, kind of like how I did in the Endgame series, but then plans got scrapped. So hopefully I can review all of them. We'll see about that. But yeah, Tenet looks phenomenal. Hopefully it does come out in July. So anyway, Colin, what have you been prepping for your channel as of recently?
What did I did the Incredible Hulk review.
Yeah, you started the MCU series.
Yeah, so that's coming out. I was gonna do like a That 70s Show character tier list because I love that show. It's my favorite sitcom of all time. So maybe that, and then I have a whole schedule of like stuff on my like Google Calendar of things I'm gonna do. But I'll worry about that later. So
one of those things in life that makes me feel old. So I was in high school when That 70s Show debuted. And we are now at a point in time in history where more time has passed since that show debuted between when the show aired and the 70s themselves.
Yeah.
And so like when the show debuted, I was like, oh man, the 70s was way back in the day. And now even more time has passed.
It's even more.
The 90s is further back. The 90s is further back.
It started in 99. The show started in 99, I think.
And it took place in like 77, in which case
from 76 to 79 on New Year's Day.
And so then that gap of time in there of 22, 21 years, like we're right at that point where it's like, my high school days are that now. This is my 20-year anniversary. Like right now, I don't even know what the day is, but like right now, we are in the week window of my 20 years since I graduated from high school.
Oh, right on.
Thanks for reminding me of that by bringing up the 70s when I didn't graduate.
Yeah. So, Sean, you started up a podcast this year.
I did.
The Sean Chandler podcast, you and Griffin, which we had Griffin on for episode 8. That was a great episode. So I've known you, Sean, since 2016. So you were one of my first subscribers. I was one of your first subscribers. We commented on each other's videos and we grew our channels together. So just talk about the process of, you went full time, obviously. You accomplished your goal. Now you started up your own podcast. So what was like the drive to starting up your own podcast?
Yeah, so I mean, it's one of those ones people have always kind of asked me to do it because people consume media and ideas in different places and in different ways. So especially if you're a commuter, if you have a job and you're just sitting in a cubicle, got to drive 30 minutes every day, podcasts are a great way to fill that out. So if you like my reviews, if you like my stuff, that's one more way that you can consume my content, longer form. And so then for me, it was both. I wanted to kind of, when I had the space in my schedule to be able to provide that for people. Also, it gave an opportunity for me to cover a lot more stuff because I can't put out 7 news videos in a week. I don't want to do that. But one podcast per week, I can give my thoughts on all those different things, and it gives a place to do that. Yeah. Likewise, the inherent nature of a pre-recorded video that I'm going to edit, that I want it to fit a certain time frame, that inherently squishes my personality out. My sense of humor in a lot of ways doesn't kind of fit into that all that well. And especially like a lot of the way I make jokes is rapport with people. And so then a podcast meant I can cover more things, more of my personality can come out. You can kind of get to know me a little bit different, see more of who I am. And then likewise, it provides a new way that people can consume my content and kind of expand what I'm doing. So it was kind of that whole thing.
Well, I was gonna say, I like what you mentioned about the people commuting. Yesterday, I literally had an hour and a half drive from where I was, and I actually never finished your total Blu-ray collection video. Yeah. It's not a podcast, but it's kind of
same idea, long form.
Yeah, same idea. Yeah.
Podcast idea, and I've got YouTube Premium, so lock that baby up and just listen away. And I finished the whole thing. Finally, it'd been a while because I'd seen it in spurts because it was 3+ hours long. So
it is long.
So I did watch at least an hour and a half more than I previously. I don't know if I 100% finished.
But did you comment with the green apple?
Yeah,
or you did.
I did the
green apple.
Whatever the second to last one was. I for sure did that. I was driving though. You gotta.
Yeah.
I don't care about your safety. I care about comments on my videos. The algorithm works.
The
algorithm is more important than your safety.
You got knees for a reason. We have cruise control for a reason.
Yeah. So Sean, actually, Colin, another video I recommend you watching is my end of the decade live stream video with me, Sean, Larry, and Alyssa. That video was almost 4 hours long. So yeah, that was a lot of fun too. I had a lot of tech issues, and something funny happens near the end of the stream.
Yeah. We actually have a funny submitted question from, I think Jared Buckendahl submitted it, about our technical difficulties later on in our YouTube career. So I'd be interested to hear that later on in the show. So
yeah, I can kind of share that with you later. So anyway, boys, let's get right into the movie news and stuff. But before we do, if you guys are watching us right now on YouTube, hello, welcome. But if you're wondering where you can find us on other podcast platforms, because I get asked that a lot, well, you can find us on Spotify, Google Play, and iTunes. And please leave us a rating and a review, because we've gotten a few reviews over on Apple Plus or iTunes, whatever, and they're great reviews. Please rate us over there. We love to hear your guys' opinions on the Fallen for Film podcast. So go follow us over there if you're curious. All right, so boys, we got lots of things to talk about. HBO Max dropped this week, some DC news, some Marvel news. There's a lot of great fun stuff, and Sean's the perfect guest to have on here for this DC Marvel stuff. And boys, we're going to kick it off with the launch of HBO Max. So HBO Max dropped this week, May 27th, and a bunch of things are already on that streaming service, like a lot of Warner Brothers owned movies, DC movies, TV shows, and stuff like that. And so, boys, I wanted to ask you this question. So HBO Max offers you the option to either do a free 1-week trial, or you could pay $14.99 a month. And obviously, I checked out HBO Max, did a free 1-week trial. So Colin and Sean, if you guys have it, I wanted to ask you guys this question. With all the content that's on HBO Max right now, is it worth it to pay $14.99 a month now, or just do a free 1-week trial for all the stuff they have? Colin, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it is because of the library. We talk about movie like what's the next streaming service that can actually compete with Netflix. I feel like HBO Max is like the closest thing to it. And like theoretically, we thought maybe Disney Plus, but really Disney Plus isn't designed to compete with Netflix because it's more family friendly and it's kind of centered at
targeted at a demographic.
Yeah, it's targeted for like families and fans of these franchises, or like even nostalgia pick. Like I can only watch Sweet Life of Zach and Cody so many times. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna go to HBO Max for one. It has family friendly stuff like Scooby Doo or the Looney Tunes or like Elmo or whatever. So it has the kid family influence as well, but then it's got like classic movies too. You got like kids see like Casablanca. It has anime movies, which by the way I've seen like no anime, really Studio Ghibli stuff. Never seen any of those.
The Studio Ghibli movies, yeah.
So I'll get into those now. You got the DC movies. Granted, they don't have everything, but those are all licensing deals, so that's not a big deal. And then you jump into the original content, or like HBO stuff, which Game of Thrones, Euphoria, The Wire, Sopranos. I mean, you can go on and on. Entourage is a show I freaking love.
Westworld.
So, dude, it's more expensive, sure, but people were complaining about some of the things like it's not on Roku yet, or it's not on Fire Stick, or some of the HBO Max original content isn't quite up to par yet. But if you think about it, neither is Disney Plus. I mean, they had the Mandalorian, and now we're just waiting for the Marvel.
Falcon and Winter Soldier, all the Marvel.
Yeah, we're just waiting for all those to come out now. So I think it's the one. It's the sole competition to Netflix right now. And I don't know if that's early to say that, but Disney Plus, like I said, it's not designed to beat Netflix because it can't, because of the niche content it has. Yeah. So your thoughts, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, like on Disney Plus, if I didn't have kids and a wife, Disney Plus wouldn't be all that interesting to me. I have a wife and kids, so it's on constantly in my house, like because we are the target demographic. I'll enjoy watching The Mandalorian on it, and then the family's watching everything else. Whereas, of course, HBO Max is much more designed for adults. Yeah. It's a little bit tough for me to people ask, what do you think about HBO Max? Isn't it great? It's like, well, I've had HBO Now most of the last 2 or 3 years. I sometimes sign off because they don't have new seasons to episodes to shows I watch, but I've had it quite a bit. And so that makes up a huge chunk of the content on there. And so with the upgrades that it has, there's not the criticism of it doesn't have like those exclusives that are hooks that are new right out of the gate. That's true. Of course, if you didn't have HBO before this, then suddenly all the HBO stuff is exclusives. But there's not something like The Mandalorian that right out of the gate, you're like, what's the must-see show that comes with this new thing that you have to sign up for the new thing to get it? So that's kind of weird to me that they didn't have something that was a stronger hook for that. But in general, as an archive of films, it's a massive archive of stuff that's different. Like a lot of times between Hulu, Amazon, and Netflix, there's a good bit of overlap. Whereas HBO Max, it's a lot of different stuff that's not on those other ones. I guess the other one that makes
like the Studio Ghibli,
Studio Ghibli, Criterion Collection, Cartoon Network. There's a bunch of things that are just like totally different, totally new stuff. The other one that makes it slightly interesting is like I have the DC streaming service with the comics and everything, DC Universe. And so some of the stuff that's on there, it's from the DC catalog that was already on this other service. So that's where to me it doesn't have like a wow
They'll
factor.
Probably merge them together soon.
It seems that way.
Like Batman animated series.
And it seems like they should do that. It's the DC streaming one is super niche, and it looks like the main benefits of it are the comic book streaming at this point in time. And so you just make that like a mini add-on to HBO Max or something like that. It seems like an easier way to do that you get more subscribers. But so yeah, I mean it's a huge archive. It's got a lot of cool stuff in there. I wish they did have some sort of hook exclusive launch title.
Well, like if I have like a $50 budget like for streaming, I'm gonna go Netflix, HBO, and then the Disney Plus bundle. That's about it. Like because now it's getting kind of expensive having all these things. I mean, Peacock, I don't know. That sounds really intriguing. So
Yeah, I feel the same. For me, with streaming services, it's got to entice me to even purchase it. And HBO Max, like I read through all the content there. The Harry Potter movies on there. This reaches to me. This reaches to me. Yeah, it has Game of Thrones. I don't need it. I have the Blu-rays. In some great DC movies, which I already own on Blu-ray. But you look at all these Studio Ghibli movies that I haven't seen a majority of, which is great. That hooks me a lot. And HBO Max, like Sean said, it's definitely a streaming service that's targeted for the adult audience. And Disney Plus has been kind of for me with a lot of their original films, which is more pandering to the kid audience. You have The Mandalorian, obviously, and the Marvel shows, which is what's going to get people to purchase it. And it's in Netflix. Nothing's going to top Netflix right now with all the stuff they have, and they've been doing it for a long time. And something like HBO Max is something that's going to intrigue a lot of people. And I do think it is worth, purchasing the dollars if you're interested in the content on there, especially with the Snyder Cut next year. It's just a great streaming service.
Can you imagine? This would never happen, but can you imagine if it said, hey, HBO Max is launching in like 3 days and the Snyder Cut will be there?
In the Snyder Cut.
they hit it the entire time. Like they kept it under wraps, like some Nick Fury and the first Iron Man, like hiding kind of type stuff where it's like, we did not know this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Super cool, but that obviously didn't happen. But anyway, that could have been the Mandalorian thing that you're talking about.
Yeah. So overall, HBO Max, I'm excited to see all the content they have coming up in the next few months. But anyway, I want to talk about Marvel stuff now.
Oh, Marvel.
Now, this is the newest piece of movie news that dropped yesterday. J.K. Simmons himself has confirmed that he has signed on to reprise his role as J. Jonah Jameson in upcoming Spider-Man films in the MCU. Now, obviously, in the end credit scene for Spider-Man Far From Home, we saw J.K. Simmons back as J. Jonah Jameson, and this was like an obvious thing we all saw coming. We knew he was coming back as J. Jonah Jameson in upcoming Spider-Man MCU film. So this is obviously very exciting news for me. Obviously, J. Jonah Jameson, one of my favorite characters in comic book movies and best cast-ins. Like J.K. Simmons is perfectly cast in that role. He was one of the shining parts of the Sam Raimi trilogy. And so that was just mind-blowing to see him pop up in the end credit scene of Far From Home. So, Sean, what's your take overall on this, man? How excited are you about this news?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of news that I took essentially as like, well, yeah. I mean, of course he's back. I mean, you're not going to bring in such a big character, do something like that, and only have it be a post-credit scene, even to the point of the plot point that it teased. That's clearly going to be the driving force of the next film. His character would make sense to be a part of that. So, I mean, I just assumed he was coming back. So, to me, it was kind of like news that's also a little bit non-news.
Yeah. So, Colin, obviously, you're a huge fan of the Spider-Man trilogy. J. Jonah Jameson, one of the most iconic characters. What's your take on this, man?
Yeah, dude, I love the Spider-Man trilogy. I actually prefer the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy over the Dark Knight trilogy. Hot take. But
wow.
How dare you? How dare
you insult Nolan on my stream? Bye-bye.
That's the title of this episode right here. Colin hates the Dark Knight.
Colin hates Nolan.
Yeah, but one of my favorite movies of all time, The Dark Knight. I hate it. Yeah, it was funny. I think it's the rewatchability. But what's so crazy about that post-credit scene was that if the morons that left before it somehow, 11 years into the franchise, it's a different movie. It's literally a different movie if you don't watch that post-credit scene. And this is exciting, not because J. Jonah Jameson or J.K. Simmons as his character, it's great. It's like, we don't even need to talk about that. He's great. It was a shocking scene. It was kind of like what Sean said, like, well, yeah, we're going to have this. But the big thing for me, my biggest complaint with the MCU Spider-Man is it's like they go out of its way to be so different from classic Spider-Man. And that's fine in certain instances, like MJ, for example. I like that, whatever. Like the tech stuff mixed, whatever. But the Daily Bugle hasn't shown any appearance. His interest in photography, guess that's not a thing. And I just feel like him being in more future films kind of opens the door for that, I guess, of the Daily Bugle and that whole aspect that makes the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie is better than The Dark Knight. That's clearly the reason why they're better. It's that scene, those scenes alone. I'm just joking, but yeah. So I'm excited for it, and it's not even because like the character or it's to bring that aspect of Spider-Man back that we have been missing.
Yeah, and I just was frustrated just seeing emails of J. Jonah Jameson and Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like, come on, you got to bring this guy back. Like, this is not crazy. It has been very different from the classic Spider-Man. You know, Peter Parker trying to get MJ and stuff like that, using his powers very differently, and the Daily Bugle not really showing up. So I think for Spider-Man 3, it's going to be very huge seeing, you know, just the Daily Bugle back. And I'm very curious to see what they do in this aspect. Could you possibly see J. Jonah possibly showing up in anything other than Spider-Man, Sean?
It's really tough to guess as to what will happen in the future of the MCU because we don't have a good idea of what Phase 4 is. Like, we know what movies are coming out, but we don't know what the through line is. So just on that level, I'm kind of like, I don't know. I just don't really know what that'll look like. But the thing that most makes me go probably not is that Mom and Dad, Sony and Disney, I mean, they broke up last fall. They cut ties, took a month off. Tom called crying or whatever. Their son got them back together, and so then their marriage is not in a good place.
On the rocks. Their marriage
is on the rocks.
Yeah.
And so when you're on the rocks, what you don't do is then take your guy and just start. You don't intermix things. You don't make it more complicated. You do as best you can. Like, yeah, we're in the same universe. We're working together. Tell your own little stories. It's very self-contained. Your characters aren't going to show up in our movies because that makes it a lot more complex. So could he show up in like Venom? Sure. Could Venom show up in New York? Sure. In the split whatever it is, the name of their universe. Like, sure, absolutely, he could show up in those. He's not going to show up in the next Avengers movie.
Yeah. How dare you say that? You don't want to see him in the Avengers.
What I meant. What I really meant is J.K. Simmons is probably the worst actor of all time.
He looks like he's Jack. He looks like he can knock out the Hulk.
Dude, he's in that one picture. Like, I just get these one set of gym pictures of him. Like, what happened to this guy? But I haven't seen follow-up pictures of it. Like, was that just like 1 month? He was like, I just wonder what would happen if I just lived here. It just came out jacked or what?
Yeah, imagine Avengers versus X-Men versus J. Jonah Jameson. That's the movie I want to see. Anyway, so this is very exciting news all around. Just a very iconic, lovable character that everyone wanted to see back in the Amazing Spider-Man movies and other MCU Spider-Man films. But now we're getting to see more of J. Jonah Jameson in the upcoming Spider-Man film and possibly, hopefully, in other Sony Marvel films in the future. So now, gentlemen, I know Colin isn't going to have a take on this at all, but this is a very popular actor. Ryan Gosling is set to star in Universal's Wolfman film in the dark universe of Universal. So Ryan Gosling, he's one of my favorite actors. And the Wolfman is just a very iconic monster movie figure in this universe. And it obviously started with Tom Cruise in The Mummy, which was not that great. And then we had The Invisible Man, which tried to do its own thing, and that was amazing, like phenomenal. And now Ryan Gosling being cast as the Wolfman. Sean, do you really have a take on the overall Universal monster film universe?
I mean, I just don't know how interconnected it actually is as a universe, so much as just Universal making movies with their monster characters. I mean, like, do they have a director on this one? That's the one. That's what makes all the difference to me is like, who is the person driving this deal? When they said Leigh-Whannell is doing Invisible Man, I was like, I'm down. This is going to be good. It'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm on board for this. But when they're like, hey, we're going to get the guy that co-wrote Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, as well as just like list off all these credits, but he's never directed before, and so we're going to have him kick off our Mummy movie. What? I don't think I understand what you're doing here. It kind of comes down to what that talent is that's working on the script. Now, with that said, Ryan Gosling seems to be pretty picky with his projects. He seems pretty smart about not doing things that embarrass him. Maybe to the extent that he's even holding himself back because he's not doing more things that would get him kind of bigger exposure. But he's not hopping on to stupid stuff. It's like he's not doing that. So for that reason, without even knowing kind of who's attached, I'm like, okay, if he hopped on this one, he must see something in the script.
Kind of like Joaquin Phoenix. You see something he does, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
These
aren't guys that are very quickly saying yes to everything. They're not doing it for an easy paycheck. They're not just trying to get exposure to doing whatever mainstream property they can. They're looking at a script and they're thinking about their legacy long term. And Joaquin will do the Joker, but this is a movie that turned out to be an Oscar contender.
Yeah.
Yeah, same take overall. Ryan Gosling, he's one of my favorite actors. And just the fact that he signed on to even do something like a Universal monster movie, like
it doesn't sound
the Wolfman.
like
it doesn't sound like up his alley. A lot of people said he should play Moon Knight in the MCU. Like that sounds really cool.
He would never do that, I don't think.
I don't think he would do something in the MCU that maybe, who knows? But I think Ryan.
They got
Gosling,
Jake Gyllenhaal to do it, who's got great taste in picking movies.
They got Jake Gyllenhaal, so that's great. But Ryan Gosling's just one of those actors in Hollywood that knows what he's doing. He loves reading scripts, and the fact that he even signed on is just like a big thing. Now they do have screenwriters for this movie, Lauren Shecker and Rebecca Angelo. They don't have a director yet for this Wolfman movie. So,
all right,
yeah.
TBD. That's all.
To be
interesting. Did it happen to mention if Ryan Gosling is a producer on it or something like that? Trying to figure out why would he sign on? Like this must be some great scripter that he just left the Wolfman.
So I get a lot of So guys, if you're watching this, I get a lot of this stuff on Discussing Film. I highly recommend you guys to follow them on Twitter if you guys are watching at home. They reported this.
But there's a parody account with a very similar name. Make sure you don't follow them and accept.
Don't follow that one.
It's like Discussing Film instead of discussing. Like, it's like just swaps out the one word. So people all the time are like, did you see this news headline that Ryan Gosling has signed on to play a third Joker? Like that? No, that's not. That's a joke. That's a joke. It's doing like Amber Heard signed on to be the new Batwoman, and people are like, are you kidding me? The internet's going to go crazy about it. Like, it's a joke. It's a parody account. It's a joke.
It's a parody account.
It's a funny joke too. It's really funny.
Yeah. Yeah. So Discussing Film. Anyway, I have really no thoughts on the Wolfman. Haven't really seen it. So I don't have much of a take on this, but
I did love the Invisible Man though. As far as that's
the Invisible Man's great. It's great.
And I don't know if Sean, you probably don't know this, but I'm not a horror guy. But the Invisible Man's my favorite movie of the year so far. So that's good.
It's phenomenal. Good. It's phenomenal. So yeah, this Wolfman movie with Ryan Gosling, I'm looking forward to seeing it now because of that. So, gentlemen, now let's just get right into the big, meaty portion of this podcast. Some DC movie news. Henry Cavill is in talks to reprise his role as Superman. It's official. He's coming back in the DC universe in films, returning as Superman. So there's obviously some films that pop up in my head he could pop up in, like maybe a Shazam 2, and many people say Black Adam and Aquaman, but I think like a Shazam 2 sounds very obvious for me. But yeah, this is exciting news for me. I love Henry Cavill as Superman, and now with him on Zack Snyder's watch-along and announcing the Snyder Cut, now they're announcing he's coming back to play Superman in upcoming DC films. So, Colin, overall, what's your thoughts on this? What films could he show up in? What does this mean for the DC universe in the future with Henry Cavill? Also, Man of Steel 2? Question mark.
Yeah, this is really cool news because the DCEU kind of started off a little rough for most people. Some people like the earlier films, and that's great. But it was one of those things where it looks like Warner Brothers is kind of like making up for their potential mistakes, like kind of how they treated the Henry Cavill situation. Like people thought he was kind of done dirty a little bit. Now he's coming back. Zack Snyder kind of done dirty a little bit. Now he's making his version of the Snyder Cut and stuff. So kind of cool for them. And then also kind of giving their directors a lot more freedom with like Joker and Birds of Prey and even Aquaman. I mean, I don't even know what that movie was. He got like way too much freedom in that movie. But it's cool. But yeah, James Wan was just on Molly making that movie. But great news here. I love Henry Cavill as Superman. He's my favorite Superman. Man of Steel to me is a masterpiece. I don't care what anybody says. That 2.9 average score on Letterboxd is a crime against humanity. And yeah, it's great. And as far as Man of Steel 2, I mean, one of those things, like, he's like the star of the DCEU. He is the guy. He's the one that kicked it off. So I don't know why he'd want to come back to a company that kind of burned him if he wasn't going to get a bigger role. Like, to be honest, I could maybe Shazam 2, but like Aquaman, I could care less if he was in that movie. Maybe Wonder Woman would be kind of cool, something like that. But Shazam 2, and then maybe just another Man of Steel 2, which I was maybe even rumored for J.J. Abrams to be directing that movie with the writer of I don't know who's writing the script. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, cool news. And somewhat not expected, but you could hear like kind of flirtation on the internet of like maybe this might happen. So awesome news. Love Henry Cavill, and I'm excited. Sean?
Yeah, it all seemed weird when it seemed like they were burning bridges with him, because it's all on them. Because it seems like he seems willing to play ball. He hasn't been one of these guys that's kind of seemed burned out or anything like that. But, you know, they cast him as Superman 10 years ago, like 9-10 years ago, which means he's a couple years younger than me, or you're so younger than me, which means he was like 25 years old. And in that 10 years, he's done a bunch of big movies. He's had a bunch of success. He's now got a TV show that got massive numbers for Netflix, was in this Mission Impossible movie that was widely praised. And so he's got this very robust career, and he has one of the most iconic superhero roles of all time. They just have chosen not to do anything with it. And even though his movie came out 7 years ago, they haven't greenlit a true sequel to it. They've had follows up, but they keep wanting to do these, like, let's put you with Batman and let's do you in Justice League. And then it was like, we have no plans for you, but we're going to do a Harley Quinn movie. But we're going to do a second spin-off Joker movie in a pocket universe. But it was like a very strange situation. Like, you have an A-lister in the role, and he's
ready to play ball.
He's ready to play ball. He's still jacked. He's like, everything is lined up for you to do Man of Steel 2. You even got the character more traditionally right at the end of Justice League if you want to kind of do a more traditional version of the character. And then you just went nowhere with it. And especially at the point in time where, like, that year 2017, when I started my YouTube channel, it was a joke to me that, like, the month January 2017, every day there was a new piece of DC rumor mill stuff. Like, we're working on Green Lantern Corps. We're doing Joker and Harley Quinn. We're doing
rankings isn't what grew your channel. It was all the movie news in 2017, Sean. That's
the movie news.
Something like that. And there was just so much of this stuff, like just different rumors and like just totally out of control. And none of the ones they were saying they were working on was Man of Steel 2. And so even now that they're like, we're bringing him back, he's signing back on, he's going to appear in Shazam 2. Even I hear that and I go, what are you talking about? Why is Superman appearing in Shazam 2?
Yeah, Shazam should be appearing in Superman
2. And then I guess the other thought on it is also the thing that has been working well for the DCEU since Justice League is standalone stories. And if James Wan wants to make a campy, underwater, globe-trotting adventure that has big, crazy CGI stuff, let him do that. And then if over here, Kathy Wan wants to do, he wants to do a very grounded, stunt work-based Birds of Prey story with Harley Quinn as the lead, let's let her do that. Like, and Todd Phillips, the guy from The Hangover, wants to remake Taxi Driver as the Joker, let him do it. Like, what's worked for them is doing these standalone things and not worrying about building a universe and crossing everything over and tying it all together. It's like, let them tell their own stories. And so then when they say, yeah, but the way we're going to bring Henry Cavill back is we're going to go back to that thing we were doing before that didn't seem to work.
Which I hope they don't do. I'm hoping maybe this is subverting expectations. They hired Ryan Johnson to
hire Ryan Johnson to do Man of Steel 2.
So, but I guess let's linger on one thing you mentioned. That one of the other rumors is that J.J. Abrams could be the person doing Superman. Now, back 18 years ago, he wrote a script called Superman Flyby. Is one of 1,000 Superman projects that fell through before Superman Returns came out. So he has a long history with the Superman property. Would you actually want him to do one? I feel like I want him to do something small and earn his credibility back after
like a Super 8-esque.
As long as
just kind of cleanse the palate.
Yeah.
Then get back into this.
Let's put it this way: Rise of Skywalker was
don't do Chris Terrio.
Yeah, most people were, if they liked it, I think it was a letdown. The movie was a letdown for most people. And I don't know if we blame 100% that on J.J. Abrams or whatever. That's fine. And Force Awakens was great. I love Force Awakens. But the thing is, I agree. If he did something like even a smaller scale, like Super 8 or something like an interesting concept, not like necessarily a low budget film, but kind of get off the talk. Like Superman fans are probably maybe not just as toxic as Star Wars fans, because we know Star Wars fans, but it's the pop culture.
DCEU fans are.
Not
specifically Superman fans.
Don't confuse.
Fans, they have got some zest in them.
Yeah, they've definitely got a little bit of spice to them. They're a little snappy for sure.
Salt.
They're a little salty. They got some, and so if any mistake he makes in Superman is just, this could be, and then maybe big studios be afraid to hire him again because of Rise of Skywalker and now Superman. And then sometimes you're in movie jail for a little bit, and I don't know, man. I mean, I think he would direct a good Superman movie. I'm not saying that, but for a guy who's a J.J. Abrams fan, despite hating the Rise of Skywalker, I almost like, for his sanity and for like his career, I would be like, can we get somebody else just for his? But I mean, he could. But then the flip side is we could get a great Superman movie. So who knows?
Yeah. I do think J.J. Abrams can direct a really good Superman movie, and just the way with Henry Cavill, he's an actor that is so talented. Look at Fallout, look at The Witcher, look at all these things he's done. Like, the guy is talented as an actor if you give him the right material. And the way they've been treating Superman throughout the whole DCEU is just not fair. And I hope we get something positive with this whole thing. If he does show up in Shazam 2, that would be awesome. Or, like Wonder Woman 2 or Aquaman or Black Adam, something like that. As long as they do it the right way, not just give us something really disappointing and stuff. And no matter what, if there's no Man of Steel 2, then fine, it's whatever. Like, it's something I would want because I love Man of Steel. That's my favorite Superman movie. Just this whole thing, it's just very exciting to see him come back. It's just, the question is, how are they going to bring him back? So,
agreed.
Yeah. So anyway, our next topic here. Frank Marshall has announced that they are searching for a new filmmaker for a 6th Jason Bourne film. So Jason Bourne 6 is happening. I don't know how I feel about that. Anyway, so this is an interesting topic. I wanted to ask you guys, is this Bourne 6 necessary? And if they were to find a new filmmaker, director, who would you want to direct a Bourne 6? So I want to start with Colin first.
Well, Sean's going to kill me here because I actually just watched your...
Have you not seen the Bourne trilogy?
Because I just watched Sean's video right before we started, the 31 on 31. And a lot of Jason Bourne movies. I've seen only one Jason Bourne film. It was the first one. I really liked it. I just haven't seen any other ones. So not crazy take. And then we got the collection from Ryan here on his Blu-ray.
I'm gonna send these to you.
Okay, now. So this is why I'm glad I have a YouTube channel now, and because rankings are so popular. Thank you, Sean. When new ones come out, because that's kind of Hollywood now. There's a lot of franchises, a lot of sequels, and when directors come out with new films, now I can watch all their movies or whatever, or try to. That's what happened with Quentin Tarantino leading up to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So now with this, I'm kind of excited it's coming out. So now I can watch all the Jason Bourne movies leading up so I can do a video on it. So Sean, your take here, because I don't really have one.
it feels like they're trying to get. They know it's a franchise that can probably make them some money, so they're trying to find more way to make money with the franchise rather than thinking, what's story first? Because when you say we don't have a director, we don't have a writer yet, but we're going to do another one, right? So you're just trying to use your franchise. So I think the thing about it is that it would make more sense in my mind. Wait 5 more years and just start over, because it'd be 25 years since the original by then. By the time it would come out, if they waited 5 years to do it. If you do it right now, I mean, maybe even now you could do that. It would make more sense if they hadn't done Jason Bourne just 4 years ago. But in 20 years. Even some of the stuff, what makes a spy franchise interesting is how much you can tie into the zeitgeist of the time. And so then kind of this paranoia spy thriller in the post 9/11 world plays very differently than it does now. And so then they feel, when Jason Bourne came out 4 years ago, it just doesn't resonate the same way that it did 10 years beforehand. And I think that would be true now if they tried to do this exact same kind of thing that they did before. It just doesn't kind of work right. And so I think starting over is your best bet to try and recapture the magic. But because Jason Bourne was just 4 years ago, you probably want to wait a little bit, and it'll be 25 years since the original one, which is, even as I said that, like, wow, that will be 25 years old soon is crazy.
Yeah, I have a similar take. So I'm a massive fan of the original Bourne trilogy. Bourne Legacy was okay. And the newest one, oh my God, that's bad. But anyway, Jason Bourne is just like one of those action franchises that really worked for me back then. Matt Damon being cast in that movie was a risk. Everybody thought of him as, the Good Will Hunting guy, but now he's great as Jason Bourne. But if you look at a Bourne 6, Matt Damon's going to be over 50. And so is it going to be worth it to do a Bourne 6 with Matt Damon?
He doesn't look 50 though.
No, he's 49 now. He's 49.
Yeah.
He's more of an Academy-based guy after doing Ford versus Ferrari recently. He's more that, Oscar caliber actor. And so I go with Sean here. You reboot the entire series. Get a younger actor who's not known at all, and do the same thing with what they did with Matt Damon.
Do like James Bond, just recast and do a couple
recast. Get someone who's younger and more.
So okay, what if they did that then? If they did that, then who's the guy? Miles Teller, another
George
Michael
McKay.
B. Jordan,
George McKay,
Timothy Chalamet. Just these young actors.
Oh God,
Timothy Chalamet would be so bad as Jason Bourne.
Lucas Hedges.
Lucas Hedges. Yeah.
But I think the other thing to think about it, the original book is about 40 years old, and they made it into a TV movie in the late 80s. And so even the original, from when the book came out to when the Bourne movie series came out, there was it was Cold War era, then it was 9/11 era. And so I think that's the thing that I think that it even recycles in that regard to it. It makes sense in a certain way to reboot it. The central premise of the guy with amnesia gets lost in the franchise after the second film, because then he already knows kind of who he is now. And so it's just kind of like, let's uncover this stuff. So I'd be for it. I think you have to dive into it a little bit to kind of find the right person. But I think there is something to kind of what they did with these movies is that very few of the assassins that they hired were known action stars. Scott Adkins is one henchman in one movie. Everyone else is just an actor. Carl Urban is one of these henchmen, like assassin guys. Clive Owen. And so they just tried to get everyman looking actors that could really act. And then that's kind of part of what makes them work as these sleeper assassins, is that they don't look like movie tough guys. There's any number of people that could kind of fall into that category that could commit to the physicality, but just be a good actor. I don't have one that comes to mind.
Yeah, I can't find really like a Tom Cruise or a Matt Damon, someone who doesn't look like an action star that can be a really great action star. So yeah, overall Bourne 6, I do love the original trilogy of Bourne, but finding a new filmmaker, get someone young, get someone to reboot this entire series, start fresh, start with something creative, and just give me something cool and different from Jason Bourne that we haven't seen yet. Obviously, him losing his memory and kicking a bunch of ass. So overall, I don't know what to think yet. I don't know what to think yet about this. So, Colin, you definitely need to watch the original trilogy of Bourne.
The original TV movie series.
Can't wait. I'm gonna watch that one first. Actually,
you should.
Yeah, Sean Chandler says. Okay, so now I don't know if Colin much would take. I mean, I have some of the take on this. So, Wes Ball, if you didn't know, he directed the Maze Runner trilogy. That trilogy's he confirms that he's making a new Planet of the Apes movie. So, if you didn't know that, so he has the writing team of Rise of the Planet of the Apes and the producers to write the script of that movie. And writers and producers involved with the project, and he has a writer, Josh Freeman. So a Planet of the Apes movie we know is coming out, produced by Disney, and Wes Ball is directing it. So overall, you guys have heard me talk to death about the Planet of the Apes
those
trilogy.
freaking movies. I mean, they're
These
great.
are some
They're
of
all
my
great,
favorite films of all time. I mean, that trilogy was perfect, and Matt Reeves is now directing the Batman. And now we're getting a new Planet of the Apes movie with Wes Ball. So I don't know much to say about this overall. I'm interested to see a different take on a Planet of the Apes movie. As far as a trilogy, I'm not sure. But this news is interesting. You bring on the Rise of the Planet of the Apes team, which that movie was totally surprising and out of nowhere phenomenal. And so I don't know what to think. I want to see a new take on this, but I want to start with Sean on this overall. What's your take on this new Planet of the Apes film, Sean?
It's tough to get excited with him as the director. Maze Runner movies, I didn't hate them or anything like that, but they weren't movies that did anything to make me think this is the guy to follow up that trilogy. The gap, but it's kind of like, okay, very mediocre adaptation of this book series versus like one of these premium trilogies of the last decade. And that's, the Planet of the Apes movies weren't as big of hits as I think they wanted them to be, but all of them got glowing reviews. They're very well received.
Very prestigious.
Very prestigious.
Prestigious for a genre or for a series that should be stupid.
Yeah.
But people were like, wow, there's actually like really emotional depth, serious drama and conflict. And then the guy that they're doing to like continue this is a guy that did, some
YA stuff.
YA adaptation, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, Planet of the Apes trilogy is great. I actually just got it on Blu-ray. I rewatched the first one, which the first one's freaking great.
Sean and I did a review on it.
I forgot how good the first one is.
Yeah. So people like frequently they talk about the two Matt Reeves movies because he did two of them. And Dawn seems to be the one that
I definitely like Rise more than War for sure.
I disagree on that.
I think I agree with you. I don't remember. I need to rewatch them now, but I really liked Rise. Like I didn't even see Rise in the theater because I was like, oh, really? Are we doing this? And then whenever it came out to rent, I rented it and I watched it by myself and like sat there as I realized what the movie actually was and like processed it of like, oh, like what they didn't really sell in the trailers was Caesar is the lead character and he's incredibly compelling. Mm-hmm. Like, and because they made it like James Franco's a scientist. He is, but he's a side character.
And marketing him a lot, yeah.
And so then it didn't seem to kind of really capture what the movie was. And I was like, this is amazing. So I went and bought it right after renting it, came home and was like, wife, we need to watch this right now.
We need to watch this movie.
This is the second time on this podcast you've called her wife. You should. Wife. You're so old school, Sean. I
have great people skills and husband skills. Wife, Planet of the Apes.
What is her name on your phone? I mean, seriously, is it Jennifer or is it baby or is it just
wife?
Wife. 3 exclamation points, all capital letters. With an emoji of a hand slapping down on the table.
Yeah.
It's just Jennifer. I'm not very interesting with those ones, unfortunately. So, so then we watched it and like every time I've rewatched it, I'd be like, this movie really is an example of a film that is so much better than it ever had any business being. And then Dawn was even better. And I think I would agree that War, I'm not quite sure fully lands as well as the first two for me, but that's not in any way to like I'm not poo-pooing on it at all. That's just to say that I crazy loved those first two movies, and I only loved the third one.
Yes.
And the third one has a fantastic score. This little musical melody in it. It's
no Oscar wins at all.
Yeah, crazy stuff. And then they get the Maze Runner guy, and I just when I saw that, I was like, I don't know if he gave a great pitch. I don't know if there was some behind the scenes stuff that was a budgetary reason why those Maze Runner movies.
It just feels like a downgrade, doesn't it?
Yeah, huge downgrade.
It's like I mean, if like I'm trying. I mean, there's franchises that haven't worked in the past, so it's like, okay, let's reboot it. And it's like, and it has a chance to get better, but like it's like, I don't know. It just feels so
those trilogy.
For something that's so recent too. It's just I don't know.
That whole trilogy, like all three of those movies, feel like made for TV long movie. All three of those movies are like over 2.5 hours long. They're too long, and nothing works for them for me. Like they're not memorable. They're just no epicness to that trilogy. And Wes Ball, like that's a name that's like,
hey, the leading actor of that series though was almost cast as Spider-Man, the MC Spider-Man.
Dylan O'Brien. I like him as an actor though. I liked him in American Assassin.
I actually wanted him to do it, and then they said Tom Holland. I was like, who's this British guy?
Isn't the Crawl girl in there too?
Yeah, Kaya Scodelario. Yeah, she's really good as well. And also Will Poulter.
Hey, I live in Florida, by the way, so that movie Crawl is very accurate. That happens all the time. I have alligators in here right now. Alligators
are in your room right now, Colin. So anyway, I love the Planet of the Apes trilogy. I do got to say, Rise is my least favorite.
How dare you? How dare you?
War's my second.
Can you kick him out? It's me and you, Colin.
He's got the thing, bro. I mean,
know. It's Dawn War, Rise. Like all three are flawless masterpieces. But with this new Planet of the Apes trilogy, nothing's hooked me yet. Nothing's excited me yet. I don't know. I don't know if it'll be good or not. I hope it's good. I hope it's really good. I want to be positive on it because I love the Apes franchise and I want these movies to be good. That's all. So our final topic today, gentlemen, is a movie that was pretty surprising to me, and obviously with all the redesign stuff, and now it surprised the audience and made a good amount of the box office. Before all this, Sonic the Hedgehog, the sequel is coming. It is in development. Jeff Fowler is returning to direct. The same screenwriters are returning. So we're getting a Sonic sequel, and they obviously tease some things that Tails is going to be in it. Some other characters is going to pay lore to the Sonic franchise. And so, yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog sequel is coming out. I'm excited for it. I really enjoyed Sonic the Hedgehog. It was a lot better than I was expecting it to be. Yeah, it's exciting. Colin? What are you hoping from this?
I had zero connection to Sonic. The only video game I played was when he did a collab with Mario on the Wii on the Olympic Games. Now that game, if you haven't played that, Sean, play that with your kids. I think they would like that. So that game was fun. But I didn't read that they had some comic stuff with it. Didn't care. Thought the whole situation, the controversy with the how Sonic's design and stuff. Walked in with extremely low expectations. Watched it with my girlfriend. I had a blast. It was just so light and fun. And Ben Schwartz, who's obviously in Parks and Rec as John Ralphio, yeah, and he's great in that. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, I don't know if I'll ever watch it again, like right now or something. But if I have my little cousins around me with me or something, I'll probably throw it on. And yeah, I'm excited about it. I know, Sean, you tweeted that it wasn't a surprise at all. And yeah, I follow you on Twitter. It's kind of a thing I do. So
yes, thank you, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Speaking of Twitter, I believe the writers of it were kind of answering some questions about why they made the movie the way they did. Because probably the biggest criticism of the film after the redesign was that it's a road trip movie across middle America, when in the video game, Sonic is known for not riding in a car shotgun, but running really fast on these crazy worlds and
beating guys up in a bar.
And instead he's like, it's literally road trip
cliches
instead of
Quicksilver.
Yeah, it's a Quicksilver sequence. And so the screenwriters kind of addressed a lot of that. And they're like, yeah, I mean, the studio only gave us so much money, and it's a lot cheaper to drive down a freeway in middle of America.
Animate one thing
versus
a whole world.
One thing.
So like, I bet you that first like 10 minutes of the movie was like the most expensive part.
And so, but the whole idea there then is that now that they know it was a hit, because I think it's between this one and Bad Boys, which is the highest grosser for the year. It also depends on whether you're talking about international or in the U.S. But it's a hit. Therefore, they know if we get the money on we put the money into it, we can do some of that other stuff. And so I think that's the fun part, because, the Sonic was a fun character. Jim Carrey, it's great to see him doing comedy, and his kind of thing that he does might not work for someone at his age, and comedy is very stuck to a decade. That if you're really funny in the 90s doesn't mean you're really funny in the zeros. And so it could have been tough for him to find the right thing for his rubber faced shtick. This seems to be a great place for him to kind of still do his thing. And so I can only be kind of positive about this one. Like,
the second movie has a chance, I think, to make more, because you see the first Sonic trailer and then with the controversy and stuff.
Yeah.
And you see something and like the kids who are young enough, like probably didn't play the games or anything. So they're like, I don't really know if the parents are kind of like, I don't really know what this is, but we're in the world of streaming. So and then VOD or whatever, parents are renting it. The kids are gonna like this movie. They're gonna love the movie. It's totally like right up their alley, and I think it's watchable enough and fun enough to where the parents are gonna maybe even get a kick out of it. So now, with that set in stone, with kind of the people watching it who didn't watch in theaters, I think that'll help the next movie. I think it'll actually make more.
It's a movie that does fall into the nostalgia space, because it is. If you're my age. Like I was the age for the battle between Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo, and all of kind of there's a book called Console Wars that discusses all the marketing and dueling between the two, and how Sega very briefly passed Nintendo for a brief window of time. And it talks about all these ads that they ran, and people my age that currently have 5 to 15-year-olds. We have nostalgia for it, and we have kids that are now in that age range, and there's new Sonic games, and so it's like kids know who they are, and they've all played Smash Bros and everything. Sonic's a character in there, and so then it has a multi-generational vibe to it. That I think a sequel that, like, you look at it and it's a funny trailer, but they're going to all these wacky, crazy worlds and doesn't feel like a road trip movie. You'll get a lot more people to show up, even though it already did really well.
Yeah. So Bad Boys for Life is currently the highest grossing film of 2020.
How crazy is that? We're in June 1st tomorrow. It has already a Bad Boys for Life.
A January movie.
A January R-rated
worldwide
movie.
and domestic.
Development hell, long delayed sequel, number one.
Yeah,
2020 truly is a strange year.
Yeah, 419 million worldwide. Sonic 306 million worldwide. Bad Boys is 204 million domestic and 146 for Sonic domestic. Like, this is a crazy year.
How did the Way Back do? It didn't do all that great, did it?
No, it did real poor.
Yeah.
I don't know if you call it real poor, because it's not a movie. It costs like 20 million or something like that. But I don't think it made 20 million in the U.S. But then again, it was also one of those movies like right as the world was being like, should I go outside? I don't know if this is a good idea.
Yeah. You know what the sad news is? Doolittle made more money than Birds of Prey worldwide. That's sad. Anyway, so my take on Sonic. I grew up playing the bathtub games for Sonic. That's pretty much my experience with Sonic. So I wasn't huge on the character, but I obviously knew him. I knew Tails, Knuckles, and Shadow, all these characters. And now you bring out a Sonic movie in live action form, not animated. I know people have issues with that, but obviously the redesign pissed a lot of people off. And hey, the fact that social media is a superpower now is just mind-blowing. So now the Sonic movie came out, and it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Jim Carrey, the classic Jim Carrey, was great. And the road trip aspects were funny, and Sonic kicking a bunch of dudes in a bar is cool. And now we're getting a sequel, and it gets me excited. Obviously Tails is going to show up, and some other characters. We'll fight Dr. Eggman coming back. And this is very exciting news. as far as making it a fun adventure too. I wonder how this sequel is compared to the first one. Will it be something different than a road trip movie, or will it just be a fun family adventure? I'm sure we're going to get all those things. And yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. All right, so that's it for the movie news, gentlemen. Woo! That's it for the movie news. So now we got to go to our fun segments now, our underrated and overrated movie picks of the week. This is a segment we do every single week, me and Colin. We look forward to hearing each other's answers. So I guess I will start it off with the underrated pick of the week so Sean can see how we do this. We start with the underrated, then the overrated. All right, so my underrated pick is a movie that I really enjoyed and just picked up on Blu-ray most recently. That's 50/50.
I almost picked that movie, but I knew you were gonna pick it because I saw your Blu-ray haul and I was like, he is so gonna pick that movie. And I didn't pick it, but it's great. Yeah, great
50/50 is great. It's such a great comedy, a great drama mixed into one. Who would knew the fact that a movie about cancer would be a funny comedy as well as a heartfelt drama mixed into one? You got Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Fantastic performance in there. Seth Rogen. There's such great chemistry in there. It's a very emotional film, but also very funny. It's such a really enjoyable movie. I do enjoy visiting it from time to time. I haven't owned it on Blu-ray yet, just bought it recently, and it's such a underrated gem for comedies out there. And you guys out there watching have not seen it, definitely watch 50/50, and it's a great film.
Great. Have you seen it, Sean?
No.
It's great. It's like
it's really good.
It's like really funny, but then it hits the emotional beats too that kind of make it more, about a guy who gets cancer but Seth Rogen, and
it's no Breaking Bad.
It does sound hilarious.
It's no Breaking Bad, but
it's no Braveheart, but it's quite good. So I'll let Sean go next. Are you ready, Sean?
Yeah. Sean, you want to go?
Yeah, sure. By default, I always say Warrior. If you haven't seen Warrior, go check out Warrior.
When I told Ryan about this, I said, tell Sean not to pick Warrior because I
got some else. I got some else. I know.
I knew he wasn't going to pick it.
Right. But since I'm talking to a different audience today, it's a sports movie from about 9 years back. Tom Hardy, Joel Edgerton, Nick Nolte is kind of this family, very broken family entering an MMA tournament that has all the emotions, and it's an hour straight of like, yeah, and it totally bombed at the box office. Just did terrible.
Makes me sad.
So it's one of these movies that like found its audience on home video, and then since then people have been kind of like everyone that sees it seems to really enjoy it. I'll go with The Mask of Zorro from 22 years ago, from Martin Campbell, starring Antonio Banderas as Catherine Zeta-Jones's star-making performance, and it's just a fun swashbuckler with a fantastic score.
Colin.
Oh yeah, it's funny. He said that, and I was like, "Where did you hear that from?" And he's like, "Sean said that."
I heard Sean say swashbuckling.
Is that have you not heard that term?
Not really. No.
What?
I heard it. No, I basically.
What?
We say swashbuckling.
I was like, I kind of heard of it, but I just hadn't. You guys say it a lot, but whatever.
Yeah.
Continue.
I'm going to describe every movie that way now, just so I can make sure that it makes it back into the common vernacular.
Yeah.
It has a lot of sword fights inside of it. How about that? But in its own way, it's essentially a superhero origin story. It's just a period piece set a long time ago, but it's all about this criminal that is kind of out for revenge and is trained on how to fight injustice, and then goes into war because of it. And it's all shot really well, dynamically. And so it's one of these ones that makes me like every time. Is it
underrated critically or financially?
People don't talk about it.
Just okay, so everything.
Nobody talks. Like, you don't even know the genre. You never heard of a swashbuckler before.
Well, I knew it was kind of like Indiana Jones or like Pirates of the Caribbean, just swashbuckling. But yeah,
it's sword fight. It means sword fighting is what the idea of swashbuckling. So Indiana Jones calling that a swashbuckler would be kind of a pretty big stretch for the most part.
Okay.
But Pirates of the Caribbean, there's a lot of that in there.
Okay, so
that's old Errol Flynn. These stories that he did, swashbucklers, because they're fighting with swords, fencing type sword fighting, not lightsabers.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so it's one of these movies that, I mean, it made a splash back when it came out, 22 years ago, but it just kind of disappeared. And people don't talk like are you super familiar with Zorro?
No.
Exactly. Like Zorro was this character that everybody knew who Zorro was when I was growing up, and they had TV shows and they had all these different versions of it. And for whatever reason, they haven't put out a new version of Zorro, even though he's essentially an old timey superhero, just as a period piece. And so it's kind of odd that they haven't done it now that we are in the era of comic book movies. But yeah, it's you got to check out The Mask of Zorro.
Mask of Zorro. I already wrote it down on my notes, so I will get there.
Mm-hmm. The Legend of Zorro, the sequel, not as much. But Anthony Hopkins is kind of the old Zorro that trains Antonio Banderas Zorro. Yeah. And so it's got a great cast, great score. Everything about it is really well done. Maybe 10 minutes too long, drags a little bit during one little section, but besides that, really cool little film.
Awesome. Great pick. All right, Colin.
I don't know if you guys have seen this movie, but it's great, and it's actually a straight to streaming movie, which is ironic because on my favorite ranking my movies I've seen so far this year, all the streaming or VOD movies are at the bottom of the list. But it's a film that's a Hulu original, which they don't come out a lot of Hulu original films. Ingrid Goes West. Have you guys heard of it?
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I mean I've seen it. Yeah, with Olsen and
Elizabeth Olsen
and Audrey Plaza.
Yeah,
Parks and Rec. Yeah.
And no one really talks about it, but I think it's so accurate to this time. It kind of has. Did you happen to see it with your wife, Sean?
Mm-hmm.
You did? Okay.
I did watch it with my wife.
With your wife.
My wife.
With the wife. What did she think of it? Did you guys like it?
I don't remember. We watched it a while ago. I mean, she seemed positive on it. We both enjoed it, I think, well enough.
Well, I just think the reason why is I think it's like a decent couple movie, but I think it just has good commentary on social media and the need to have a perfect image. Obviously, Ryan, you haven't seen it. It's about this girl, Audrey Plaza's character, who gets obsessed with this girl in California who's basically an influencer, Elizabeth Olsen's character, who has a persona that she has this perfect life. She goes out to fancy coffee shops and does these things, and she's got perfect Instagram image and stuff. And she goes out there with her aunt's money, from when she died or something like that. So she's got all this money that she's able to kind of live off of. And she just gets overly obsessed with kind of this perfect image and stuff. And it's super accurate to this time where I know a girl I went to high school with. I won't name her. She was a senior when I was a freshman, actually. And she's got 400,000 followers on Instagram. And she apparently my friends who are a little older than me, they've hung out there and they're saying it's miserable because she's just freaking taking photos all the time and she doesn't even live her life and stuff. So I'm oh, okay, that sounds fun. So really cool commentary there. I highly recommend it. And it's a movie I think is really underrated, obviously. So
yeah, I don't have Hulu. I'll probably get it once Palm Springs comes out in July. So we'll see.
But it's got you should get the Disney Plus bundle. It's a pretty good deal.
Oh, the Disney Plus bundle?
Yeah, that's how I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So now let's go to my overrated pick. Hang on one sec. I got to pull something up. All right. So I've been rewatching the MCU movies, obviously, and there's a lot of films that going back on, there are films I absolutely really enjoyed on first viewing, but then on multiple rewatches, just something doesn't work with me on multiple rewatches. And I'm going to say it, an overrated MCU movie is Ant-Man and the Wasp. If you look on Rotten Tomatoes, it has an 88%. That's way too high. And it's the Disney trend with Marvel. Many of their scores are way too high, like Guardians Volume 2. All these movies, Spider-Man Homecoming, they're around the 85%.
Black Panther is the highest superhero
97%.
It's dude,
I really enjoyed the movie, but it's not a 97%.
It's
that's not Mad Max Fury Road great, but
well, hey, watch it. Watch it, buddy. Watch it. You know I can't stand that movie.
So Ant-Man and the Wasp, just I find more issues with it on rewatch. It's just a very typical adventure film. It's a filler episode to you know, in Breaking Bad, you have like those phenomenal episodes, and then the next episode is like a filler episode with nothing really going on. That's what Ant-Man and the Wasp is. It's just a fun, cool, fun adventure.
Did you just say that Breaking Bad is filled with filler episodes?
No, I meant Game of Thrones. Sorry, you get
There
one.
we go. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, I meant Breaking Bad is phenomenal. All right, anyway, Game of Thrones, you get that one filler episode in season 8. That's what Ant-Man and the Wasp is. It's a really fine adventure, very generic. I really enjoyed the Wasp in it, though. She's great, Evangeline Lilly. But all the villain aspects really show the MCU formula with their generic villains, storytelling, throwing in villains randomly into the story, like with Walton Goggins' character. Similar to Guardians Volume 2, throwing in the Sovereign just as because they did something wrong, stolen batteries. And it's very generic. Like, it's fine on when you watch it a few times, but not one I go back and revisit.
I've seen it the one time in theaters, and I had saw the show Chuck right before that. I finished the show, and the ending to that show literally tore my heart into 1.5 million pieces. And I watched Ant-Man and the Wasp with like the worst mindset ever. So I don't know if I kind of disappointed with that movie because of how heartbroken I was by the ending of the show Chuck. By the way, which that show's great. That's an underrated show. Oh my god, no one sees this. No one has seen that show. They had to get a Subway sponsorship just to stay alive. But yeah, I kind of agree with that. Sean, what do you think of Ant-Man and the Wasp? I think you like it, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I like pretty much all the MCU.
Yeah,
there's only 2 or 3 at the bottom that I don't like, but I mean, I think if you base is it over underrated based off of the Rotten Tomatoes score
for this one,
like 88% make it like it. If you understand what a Rotten Tomatoes score is, and like, it's a harmless movie. So in that sense, if you go, it's all that is saying is that it's a harmless, likable movie. So it's 88%.
It's easy to like.
It's easy to like. It's not off-putting. When you understand that's what Rotten Tomatoes is really measuring, there you go. Okay, that makes sense. But at the same time, the way most people misuse Rotten Tomatoes, most people are like, what? 88%? This isn't one of the best movies of the year. It's just this weird little, they're chasing around a briefcase movie. Like if you it is not like a 9 out of 10. Like, this is amazing. It's not that. But I think it does what it's trying to do well, which is it's intended as an analogy. I think like John Campea used was like a palate cleanser after Infinity War. So we've got a year-long gap between Infinity War and Endgame. And so what do we want? We don't want to go from like heavy, everyone is dead, straight to more people are dead. So what do?
And that's not the Ant-Man character.
Until the end credits.
Yeah, until the end credits.
So let's have the lightest movie in the entire MCU, and then everyone dies.
Everyone dies.
But I think doing this story that it's intentionally very whimsical, light, it's not supposed to be more than that. In that regards, I think it does what it's trying to do well. But I mean, I totally get the idea that like, I mean, this is not great. This is not some of the best villains. Anyone that's like, oh, this is top 5 MCU. No. Like it's just.
I'm pretty sure Griffin has it in his top 10.
Griffin
is really high on the Ant-Man movies.
He's really in the Ant-Man movies, and sometimes he has some takes that are
crazy,
hot.
Very
I had Griffin on for Birds of Prey versus Deadpool, and we both said Birds of Prey was better. So I will say I agree with him on that. So
he's not afraid to share the
I don't know if I disagree with him or not on that one. I think I could get there.
Deadpool's not very rewatchable to me. It gets less and less funnier every time I watch it.
Well, and it's very much about a vibe. Like it has an energy to it that's like fun and addictive, but this basic plot to it's very simple and straightforward. It's just told non-linear, whereas Birds of Prey has the energy, non-linear, and more complexity to the story. So I think there's some things there to like over it, as well as I think there's even more cool stunt work in Birds of Prey.
Yeah,
but And if you disagree with me, you're a sexist.
That's easy. You won the argument.
There you go. It's that simple.
All right. So Sean, let's go to your
me.
overrated pick.
Overrated, without question. I think we'll all agree it's Blade Runner, the original one.
Oh, actually,
I picked that.
He's picked that in previous episodes.
But yeah, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it.
Yes, yes.
Jay Bader's dislikes.
I actually really, really don't like calling anything overrated because I think there's a certain assumption in that I'm just not the way that I think about opinions and takes on things. That's not the way I'm really wired. So I would more phrase it as I'm lower on this. I'm lower on it than everyone else. I'm not, because I don't even the idea of anything that implies that you're doing something that's above what it should be. I just don't think that way. I just think I'm diverging from the mainstream opinion on something. So I don't really, there's not a lot of things that every time people ask me constantly, hey, make a top 10 overrated movies.
That's not you. That's not what you usually do.
That's not really my thing to do that. And legitimately, when I say that I'm not really into Stanley Kubrick films, and so I could say The Shining just as much as I could say Blade Runner. It's not at all me being like, oh, why do people like those movies? Those things are crap. Like, it's none of that at all. I watch it and I can be like, man, this is beautiful. It's like there's a lot of poetry, visual poetry here. Okay. I don't connect with that at all, but that doesn't mean I don't understand why you might.
Yeah, it's one of the things. It's like everyone's gonna have a hot take on something, and I feel like I have a lot of them. It's like I know you're a huge fan of The Office. Like I think Parks and Rec is miles better than The Office, but so many people love. I think Parks and Rec is way funnier. But I mean, that's just how it is. People have hot takes.
God, please.
Yeah, it was funny. I think the reason why I actually became a big fan of your video, Sean, is because you were the only other person I knew on the internet that didn't like Guardians Volume 2 like I did. And I was like, oh, okay, this is
I like that
cool.
movie less and less.
I kind of, I mean, this category is definitely fun, but I kind of go more I don't want to say overhyped, but yes, I just like it less than people like Mad Max Fury Road. I'm not a fan of. Everyone loves that movie.
You're not allowed to say that.
So let me get this straight.
It is beautifully shot. The script is incredibly complex. The action is incredible.
Colin.
And there's a guy with a guitar that shoots flames on the front of a
How
car.
can I not love that?
You just trashed Christopher Nolan and George Miller in this one episode. How dare you?
No. I just don't even know what I am. Like, what is this stream I am on right now?
Christopher Nolan, all of his movies I like.
What co-host do I have?
Yeah.
So anyway, totally understand the overrated term, man. Everyone has different opinions on the overrated word. And so, I agree Blade Runner, though, is way too overpraised.
Yeah, you picked that last week.
Colin, what's your overrated pick?
Okay, Sean, you don't know this, but Ryan, what is my favorite genre in film?
Romance. I'm just
coming
of age.
Coming of age movies is my favorite genre in film. Call it like it is. I love it. This is a movie I think is really good. Actually, I actually do quite enjoy it, and it's in certain instances it's almost underrated because of the lack of people that actually did see it. But for the people that did see it, they're like, "Oh my god, this is one of the best coming of age movies I've ever seen," and I think it's good. But something about it felt kind of TV movie-esque to me. And I just didn't connect with as much as other people. And that's The Edge of 17.
What?
Yeah, I know you really like that movie, so I don't.
Oh,
yeah.
Colin.
Yeah. When you picked Boyhood, I was heartbroken. I feel you. But have you seen it, Sean? Edge of 17?
No, I actually haven't.
And so actually, I want to go back to the decade live stream video we did, Colin. This was one of the first matchups, and Sean's like, I haven't seen this movie.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, so I wasn't sure if you had seen it since then, but yeah.
So he hasn't seen Edge of 17.
But it's good. It's actually really good. I just didn't like. To me, like, obviously, you know how much I love The Perks of Being a Wallflower, The Spectacular Now, Dazed and Confused, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. This is the genre that I love near and dear to my heart. So it's still like A B
Apparently,
plus?
I don't because I haven't seen any of those movies.
You haven't seen Dazed and Confused?
I think I've seen Dazed and Confused.
Okay, I was gonna say because that's like came out in the '90s. Like
Yeah,
I know, like when you're in high.
I think it might have even been filmed around here too.
Yeah. It was filmed in Texas. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's my overrated. But like I said, maybe not really overrated. Just don't like it as much as everybody else. But it's great. It is good, but don't like it as everybody else. So,
Breakfast Club.
I said Breakfast Club was overrated.
Edge of 17. Oh my god. All right. So anyway,
It takes place in Austin, Texas, too. So basically, I've lived Dazed and Confused.
Yeah, it's great, dude. And Richard Linklater, he did School of Rock, which have you seen that movie? Yeah, that's
Great
like
movie.
that's one of Ryan and I's like favorite movies.
That's my favorite Richard Linklater movie.
Yeah, it's great. And then he did a Boyhood, which you think is overrated.
The Before trilogy, which I haven't seen.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was our underrated and overrated pick section of the week. Love doing these every single week. All right, so now let's go to our fan-submitted questions. Now, I'm not going to do all of them. I picked 4 out, like very unique questions we haven't really gotten before. But anyway, thank you guys, as always, for submitting questions for our fan-submitted questions. Post them on the YouTube community and on Twitter every single week if you want to post questions on there. And we got some good questions this week. I really like all these questions I have on here. So our first question, gentlemen, comes from Ronald E. Smith, the guy who did the interview with me on his channel. He asked us on Twitter, if Tenet comes out in July, do you think it's worth the risk to see it in theaters? And he asked a follow-up question, is saying that we were just talking about overrated movies, is saying that a film is overrated mean that it's not a bad movie? I think Sean already answered this, really. So
yeah, I mean, overrated means it's over where it should be, but that doesn't inherently mean it's good or it's bad.
Yeah,
I just said that I liked Edge of 17. I just don't like it as much as everybody else.
Yeah. So that's what we're trying to say. So let's answer the Tenet question. If it comes out in July, do you think it's worth the risk to see in the theater? For me, yeah. I'll risk my life to see this.
Well,
movie.
I mean, if you think about it, we go to grocery stores. I feel more safe at a movie theater where I'm not talking to anybody. I can have a mask on. We can sit like I don't know. We could spread it out. Like movie theaters are big enough where we could have a certain amount of capacity. I would actually feel safe. I'd put a hazmat suit to see it Tenet if
hazmat suit. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's one of those questions a little bit to make a very general statement about, hey, is it safe to do this thing? Well, it depends on where you're at. I mean, there's counties that have had 0 confirmed cases, and then there's counties that have.
I have 8 cases in my county. 8.
Yeah, 8 cases in your county. Like New York City, just the city itself has something like 25-30% of all cases in the United States.
Yeah, me too. Massachusetts, top 3 highest cases of corona.
So if you're there, if you're in one of those places, and you're like, the answer to that is very different than 8 cases.
Yeah.
And so it kind of depends on where you're at. I think one of the things that people aren't thinking about so much is that, let's say they can only do 25% capacity. So a theater, I mean, they're like literally like closing off every 3 seats. There's only 1 open, but only 1 movie comes out. Normally Tenet would be on, 2 out of 8 screens. Now it's on 8 out of 8 screens, and it's the only movie out there. And so I think there's a side to it. We just got to go, because there's no one else, there's no other movies. They can do dramatic closing down of theaters and blocking off seats, and it's still very spread out. And I think if you're in New York City, I would just leave New York City and come back in 5 years or something like that. But
it's worth it.
Nothing is going to be safe for a long time. But if you're in most places, absolutely, I'm going to go see Tenet if it opens July 17th. Absolutely, I'll be there.
Yeah.
And I don't even think it's that risky of a thing to do.
Yeah, I go to the grocery store and it's riskier than to go to the movies, in my opinion.
I've always opened the handle at the grocery store by licking it, even though it's one of those auto sensor deals. I just have a little weird fixation.
You're creeping me out. I work at a grocery store.
Sean, I don't decide which fruit to buy. I lick it beforehand, just like everybody else.
I work at produce.
Sean licks doors
constantly. How do I know which ice cream flavor to buy? I open the containers and I lick the top of them all, and then put it back in.
So you're a part of that
Things.
dumb trend of
I started the trend. I didn't even have to film myself.
Where Gen Zers are on TikTok doing that. Yeah, that was great.
Oh my
That's
God.
what's funny. Like here in Texas, we're like, I'm kind of in small town Texas, even though it's connected to Austin, and then very independent kind of people. Like August 1st, I hear gunfire outside every morning because it's dove season, and so you just hear people hunting in their backyards. It's a pretty independent-minded people. So whenever the world went into lockdown, there was like 1 week where everywhere you went, if you went to order a pizza, they had the door already plopped open. There was like tape on the ground. Don't come within 6 feet of us. We'll put it on the table. We'll step back. You walk forward. Hand sanitizer everywhere. This lasted like 2 days. Like everyone's wearing a mask. That's like 2 days. And now it's like you walk in there and they give you a hug as they hand you the pizza. Like, the way that we moved past all the safety precautions quickly.
Yeah.
And then I licked a pizza for someone else before they handed it out.
Yeah, great. Awesome.
I learned something new today.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I thought this was common knowledge that everybody did.
You delivered paint, you got famous from rankings, you lick ice cream.
And you like ice cream. So yeah, I will see Tenet open at night if I have to risk my life. I'm just kidding. For my theaters, it's definitely risky because Massachusetts, for me, is one of the highest in COVID cases right now. And so it definitely comes into question of your safety and how the theaters are going to operate safety, social distance, and seating. And if it's done in a very safe manner, I'll wear a mask, wear a hazmat suit if you have to. I will see Tenet.
Plastic bag over your head.
Like family Guy, yeah. So anyway, yeah, I will see Tenet no matter what on opening night, and it's Tenet. Like, this is the biggest release coming out that is potential to come out, and we'll see if Mulan does as well. But no matter what, I think the safety precautions will be placed in make people safe no matter what, because I do not want to see Tenet in a drive-in theater. I'll tell you that.
No.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks for that question, Ronald.
Especially because the closest drive-in theater is like 2 hours away from my house. So please don't do that.
No, don't do that. Jared Buckendahl, a great YouTuber. Please go check him out if you haven't. We had him on the podcast. Ask us a couple questions. He has some really great questions here, Jared. Worst behind-the-scenes story for your channel. Example, you broke your camera, didn't hit record, corrupted files. Who is someone in the film community you see having the potential to make it big? And what movie would you love to see a different cut for? Some great questions, Jared. Let's talk about behind-the-scenes story. Colin, have you had an experience like this?
I've had about 3. My top 10 favorite movie sequels and my onward review, my mic wasn't on. So I had to finesse with that. And then when I was going to do my extraction review, all the graphics and overlays that I have, like where it says like what worked, and I have like the glitch and like it looks like it's a camcorder and it looks all cool. And then all that stuff, my ranking screen where it's a glitch and all that, all got deleted. So I had to remake everything. My outro music, my intro. The only thing that's the thing that did stay was the intro. For some reason that would work. So that somehow got deleted because I deleted a backup folder from Final Cut Pro, which shouldn't matter. So needless to say, I have Dropbox now. So this never happens ever again. Sean, your nightmare story?
I had one just a couple weeks ago where I was trying to really get ahead. So I picked a Saturday, Sunday afternoon and just set like 3 of the videos for that week. It was just going to take all the weight off my shoulders, which that's also one of the nice things about now not having new movies coming out is that you can shoot things in clumps before. Cause
you've been shoot.
Just pick one day to shoot 3 days worth of stuff as opposed to like, when it's like, I just watched the movie. I want to get my review out as quick as possible and do my ranking as quick as possible. There's none of that anymore. There's very few times where I'm having this like, oh man, I just watched it. How can I get this review out? But so I shot a bunch of stuff. And then I'd realized that my mic wasn't plugged in properly. And it's what happened is I'm doing a lot more of these kind of podcasts and for both my stuff as well as on, ones like this parent of other people's. And so the way that I record into my camera is through the output jack on my Yeti. And I just crank that into my camera. And so, but I keep having to unplug for the headphones and then the aux cable. And so I didn't double check it. And so I think this was still plugged into it. So it was just piping my voice into the headphones on the floor instead of into the camera. And there's even one video that I've been meaning to put out for like a month now. I did put a video like a month ago called how to 10 tips for starting a movie review channel. And then I wanted to follow that up immediately with 10 tips for growing a movie review channel.
Great video, by the way. Yeah.
Thank you. And so I have a follow-up that I think has even more helpful tips for if you've gotten a little bit of traction and you're like, how do I make this more happen?
I need that momentum. Yeah.
And so I shot the whole thing.
It.
Like it was like it would have been like a 30-minute video. So this was a long shoot. And then I went to go edit and I was like, oh, there's no audio here. And that was going to be weeks ago. And so it's and I lost some momentum to get it done. So and I don't have time. Like I keep filling up my schedule every week, but
I need that video to come out because I've been getting about 100 subscribers a month for the past few months. Like I've been growing pretty good. But now I'm like, okay, now how do I keep that sustained? So
yeah. So for me, I've had a lot of instances where my camera wasn't recording or my mic wasn't plugged in. I think like once I did like 2 Rankin videos in a row and then my camera was not plugged in for one of them. And it's like, I just wasted so much time filming for like 30 to 40 minutes. And now I have to do it all over again. And
sorry, go ahead. I'll say it after. Go ahead. Yeah.
And actually most recently, one of the videos I did, top 10 favorite movie heroes, like my camera just crapped the bed. Like if you watch that video, like I wasn't showing me like the rest of the video. I don't know what the problem was on Cody's end, who edits my videos. It's just weird.
I will say this too. I forgot to mention this one. I filmed my top 10 favorite Star Wars moments 4 times. I filmed that because I went on there and I was like, don't like how I said that. Or I said most of the things. Then I said, oh, doesn't look good. And then I finally got the look I wanted with the light because I changed my setup. So I was like messing with the lighting and stuff. And then I finally, the 4th one, I put my color grading, like my set one preset. I went onto it and it looked great. And I was like, yeah, I literally like stood up and just cheered because I was like I'm a perfectionist. Like I was like, I have to have this right because I'm a huge Star Wars fan. So I was like, and I got it right. So I'm happy about that. But yeah, dude, it's a nightmare, man. It's a nightmare sometimes.
Yeah. And Jared also asked,
Sean, one sec, Ryan, what'd you have to say, Sean?
So the other one that I have, it's kind of in this ballpark, but one time I was filming at just a haul video, just kind of like picking up movies and you're talking about them. And I kept doing this and I was like, what is in my window? And I kept doing this. And in the middle of it, I literally pulled my phone out and to zoom in on it. And I was like, I think that's a bat. That's a bat. I remember that story. Yeah. Batman. And so like in the middle of the haul video, like I walk over and everything, film myself. I was like, yeah, that's a bat. All right, let's finish the haul video. So I finished shooting this haul video and then like did this whole vlog and like the whole thing's filmed. Like it's in a haul video as well as there's a vlog of the whole thing happening. And then like got the kids together, went outside and saw the bat and called the pest control guy. And he went to go and grab it and it like started flying around, flew down, bit my daughter, and that's how I went from 3 kids back down to only 2. But it's made for a great video for my channel.
What? Okay,
part of that wasn't true.
I was like, wait. When you said you bit down, and then you said, oh, yeah, 3 to 2. I was like, wait, whoa.
Yeah, didn't bite my kid. Everything else, like I have on my second channel. There's a vlog of the whole thing of like literally me just doing this, and then we checked it out, and the guy came, and it was an anticlimactic conclusion. Nothing interesting happened. But,
oh my goodness, that's
literally hilarious. Just a bat showed up in my window.
Yeah. So anyway, Jared also asked us, who is someone in the film community you see having the potential to make it big?
Jaron talks movies. I don't know. He's great. We were gonna have him on last week, but some things came up. But he's got like 400 subs, but his quality.
You man, keep going.
Yeah, I mean, really. I mean, I hope so. I know some people have been, commenting on my videos and stuff, saying like, "Oh wow, you've been growing really." Fast, and so that's a good sign. So I hope the answer is me. But I think besides that, I think Jaron talks movies. I don't know if you've ever seen any of his videos, Sean, but
really great YouTube.
Really great videos for his size too. Yeah.
And the last question: what movie would you love to see a different cut for? Release the Abrams cut. Yeah. for
Oh,
Rise
the
of
Trevorrow
Skywalker.
cut. The Trevorrow
Or
cut.
Trevorrow cut for Rise of Skywalker.
We're going to do a Trevorrow cut of this movie. We're giving him $300 million to do some pickup shots to adjust the film.
Yeah, Rey dies in the first 5 minutes. She's not a Palpatine. And
Snoke's resurrected.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, other than that, nothing really jumps out from everyone's saying the Ayer cut for Suicide Squad and all that jazz.
Don't care.
Man, I don't care. Anyway, thank you so much for those questions, Jared. Those were really good ones. Next question comes from Ewan Moorfield on Twitter. Instead of the usual, what video game movie would you like to see adapted into a movie? I'm interested to know, what movie would you like to see adapted into a video game?
John Wick.
Oh, that's
John
a great
Wick.
one. I was
That'd
going
be
to say the obvious one, Ready Player One, but yeah.
Oh,
John Wick, that's a great one.
John?
It's kind of a weird question because they converted every big movie into a video game until like 8 years ago, and then it kind of stopped. And a lot of them weren't so good, but some of them were. And
like the first couple of MCU movies, they did an Iron Man one too, and then they never did
Captain America.
Captain America.
And then it's weird that like right as it would be really easy, obvious to get a great company, give them a bunch of money, and you'd make tons of money doing an Avengers game, and they just took forever. And so now they are getting one this year, but it's like literally a year late. It's like 2 years late. Like they could have, if they gotten their stuff together a little bit sooner, dropping that one between Infinity War and Endgame or right after Endgame, doing it a year and a half later is just weird. But I don't know. It's just off the top of my head. I'm trying to think of a movie that would work well to convert that hasn't already been converted.
Has the Terminator movies, have they been converted?
Yeah, I mean, there's been plenty of Terminator games. I don't know if there's been like the definitive one.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've got actually right over there, I have a Game Boy game of Terminator 2 because, they used to convert every R-rated movie into children's toys. I don't know if we've gotten a good Mission Impossible video game.
I like that.
Do you think one that kind of, you do it as kind of Uncharted that has kind of the spy aspect, has the puzzle side to it. And then you also, of course, have the action and everything.
So, I know what Colin would say, Fast and Furious.
Oh yeah, I'm a huge Fast and Furious fan. Yeah, and I would love to have the Fast and Furious game would be awesome. I think maybe there's I don't know.
I don't know if there was.
And I think we can all agree doing a trilogy of video games on the 50 Shades trilogy. I think that would be really good stuff right there.
Yeah, that's great.
I buy that for $50. Anyway, so yeah, I'd probably go with like a Ready Player One or the John Wick. That'd be awesome. I'd like to play a John Wick video game. So thank you for that, Ewan. And our last question comes from a guy I'd love to get on, or a group of guys I'd love to get on the podcast. Film Stocked he asked us on YouTube, which Harrison Ford character do you prefer, Han Solo or Indiana Jones? There's really no right or wrong answer here.
No, there's not.
I'm gonna go Han Solo. I'm the Star Wars guy more than Indiana Jones, but both are phenomenal characters. But Han Solo for me.
Han Solo.
Dr. Kimball from The Fugitive.
Yeah.
I would normally say Indiana Jones. He's a character that's designed to stand on his own and be the lead, whereas Han Solo is a spice on an ensemble. So I normally go Indiana Jones for that reason.
Well, Han Solo is my favorite character of all time.
How dare you? How dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you?
How dare you?
The I Love You, I Know scenes, my favorite scene in the history of cinema.
Empire Strikes Back, my favorite film of all time.
Empire is my favorite movie of all time. So like I'm super consistent with that kind of thing. Like Harrison Ford. Yeah, Harrison Ford's one of my favorite actors. So gotta say Han Solo, even though Indiana Jones is great. He's great as Indiana Jones.
No right or wrong answer. Thank you, Chris from Film Stock, for asking that question. And that is it for the fans to make questions. We'll answer the rest of them on next week's episode for sure. But thank you, guys. All right, so now let's go to the game, shall we?
The game.
The game. It's a movie. Anyway, we're playing a game this week since we have Sean Chandler on the podcast. He's the creator of the Masters of Movie Trivia. He's been on the Rotten or Fresh, so he knows some things about games. But Colin, You actually came up with the game. You want to talk about
I did. Yeah, so Sean and Ryan, they're going to be facing off to the death in a game. And basically, it's really simple, guys. I'm going to say a movie. You're going to guess the movie release date, the year. And whoever's closest gets 1 point. If you get the exact one, you get 2 points. And we'll do 10 movies, and we'll leave it at that.
Are we going like... Who can say it fastest, or are you saying Sean?
No, I'm saying Sean, you'll say it, and Ryan, you'll say it, and then we'll alternate who goes first. Because one time we did Rotten or Fresh with Griffin on, and I kept going first, and I would get it like right there. Griffin would put it like 1 point above mine, and then he would get it. So we were like, okay, we got to alternate this time. Okay, let me just pull up my notes here so I could keep score. Sean, and then Ryan. Okay. All right. So, Sean, since you're a guest, we'll go first. The first film on here is The Game Plan with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the Disney movie. Sean, you can go first.
2006.
Okay. Ryan?
2006.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to duplicate?
Try a different one.
2005.
Okay, it was 2007. So Sean, I'll give you the point there. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Okay. Ryan, you can go first. The Ring.
Oh, I know this one. 2002.
Okay.
This is the remake with Gore Verbinski, right?
Yes.
It's 2002.
Okay, so you guys both got that right. Ryan, you get an extra 2 points, and then Sean, you'll get 2 points as well. Okay. All right, Sean, you can go first.
Okay.
Fury with Brad Pitt.
2013.
2014.
Okay, Ryan got it exactly right. So that's 2 points.
I know that, and I was thinking about 2014, and then as soon as you said 2013, and then I said 2013. Then when you said 2014, I was like all the way up until I said my answer. I was thinking 2014.
It's funny. 2014 is like a great year for movies, so I can understand why you maybe get lost in the shuffle there. Okay, the Wes Anderson film. Ryan, you can go first. Bottle Rocket.
This is his first movie. Damn it. 2000?
1996.
Okay, yep, Sean got the exact score there. He got the exact one. Good job, Sean. That was good. Okay. So, Sean, you can go first here. Raging Bull. Martin Scorsese.
1980.
1980.
Okay, you guys both got it exactly right. You guys are great. You guys are both good at this game. Okay, so you guys both got it there. Okay, this one I don't even know if you guys have seen this movie. It's a Brad Pitt film, another Brad Pitt film. I saw this when I was a little kid. Actually, I actually have nostalgia for this movie. A River Runs Through It. Ryan, you can go first. Have you even heard of this movie?
I don't think I've heard of it. I'll go 1993.
Okay. Sean?
I'll also say 1993.
Okay, you guys both get 1 point. Oh, no, 0 points there. I'm sorry.
Damn it.
Because you guys didn't get it. And you guys both get the nice one. It was 1992. You guys are very close.
Oh, Jay Vader.
Jay Vader.
One goddamn year.
Okay. Yeah. I saw this movie on my birthday, and it was not a good birthday. Paul Blart Mall Cop. Sean?
2009.
2009.
Okay, you guys are okay. I need to pick. That's exactly great. Okay, so you both get 2 points there. Excelente. All right, Ryan. One of my favorite movies of all time, Sean. When Harry Met Sally.
Who goes first?
1989.
Okay, Ryan.
89.
Oh my God, you guys are great at this game. Both 2 points. Good job. Okay. This one I feel like is a deeper cut, I think, maybe. The Al Pacino movie. Sean, go first. Dog Day Afternoon.
76?
Okay.
1975.
Ryan got it exactly right. 1975. Oh, this is exciting. Okay. So let me count up the points here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. Okay, Sean's got 11 so far. Ryan's got. Okay, so Ryan's got 12. Sean has 11. So this could mean a lot. Okay. How
many left?
One more. This is it.
One more. Oh,
okay.
This is it.
This is it. So this
so
is
I'm first. Oh.
Yeah, go ahead. The Prince of Egypt, a really underrated animated film.
Oh, DreamWorks. 1995.
Okay, Sean?
99.
Okay, Sean, you were closer. It was 98.
Tie.
So Sean, it looks like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. Yep, it's exactly a tie.
Oh, great. It's a tie.
So good job to both of you. I'm extremely impressed. I'm actually extremely impressed. That was
I thought it was going to do awful.
No, you guys did great. I mean, yeah, that was really good. Good job, guys.
Woo! Tie.
That's a fun game. Good job.
Everyone wins. Woo.
Everyone wins. Everyone is awesome. Everything is awesome.
Yeah, everything is awesome. All right, so thank you for that game, Colin. So now let's go to, before we close out the show, we got to do the movie quote of the week. This is probably my favorite topic for our podcast. Colin, movie quote of the week. Let's have Sean go first. So, Sean, what's your movie quote? Man?
Yeah, it's not a deep cut or anything. It's one that people mention all the time, and given that I talk about Sylvester Stallone and Rocky Balboa frequently, it's the speech from Rocky Balboa where he's talking to his son, and he talks about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
I know you're a huge Sylvester Stallone fan, so that makes complete sense.
I kind of guess you would say that quote from Rocky. Yeah.
Great quote.
Great quote. Colin?
Let me pull mine up here. This is, I don't even really have to read it. This is a very popular quote too, but from one of my favorite movies of all time, even though you guys said I hated this director. It was from The Dark Knight, where the scene where he just beat up the lookalike and kind of locked him up. And he's like, what's the difference between you and me? And he's like, I'm not wearing hockey pads. It's such a good line. So that's my movie quote of the week to sound off the show. So
I have to do an MCU quote. So last week I told Colin I was going to pick a Thanos quote, and I am picking a Thanos quote, and it's my favorite quote from him from Endgame. You cannot live with your own failure. Look where that brought you. Back to me. That's easily my favorite Thanos quote.
That whole sound has become like one of the iconic sounds on TikTok. The app the kids use. So they'll use that often for like memes and stuff like that. But yeah, great quote. Great quote.
Yeah, great quote. Guys, that does it for episode 11 of the Fallen for Film podcast. Big episode. This was a very entertaining episode for sure. And we got to thank our guest, Sean Chandler talks about. I'm sure you guys know who Sean is. You're subscribed to him if you're watching this podcast on YouTube. All his social media links, of course, are in the description below. He's got lots of great stuff over there. Got a great podcast. He's going to tell you all about that before we close off the show. Sean, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. Where can people find you? All this fun stuff, the podcast. What do you have coming up on your channel? All this jazz.
Yeah, so you can find me on YouTube. You can look up Sean Chandler, SCAN. You'll either find an NFL player or a guy that looks like me and talks about movies. It's the one that looks like me and talks about movies. If you look up the Sean Chandler podcast, you should find a bright yellow logo on any of your favorite podcast places, and you'll find me. And just look for the one that's talking about movies once again. And on Instagram, it's Sean Talks About, and I'm very active on Instagram. As for my channel, just doing, I know it's all over the place. I don't really have anything particular. It's because there's not new movies coming out. It's just a whole lot of crazy stuff. So actually going to start reviewing the Nolan movies on Sundays until Tenet comes out, or maybe I'll review all of them and Tenet will come out a year later. Who knows what's going to happen, but that's what I'm working on.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you, Sean, once again. And Colin, my co-host, as always, let everyone know your plugs, as always, every single week. What do you have coming out on your channel and all that jazz?
Yeah, you can look me up on YouTube, Colin Williams. I am the guy that talks about movies, not the guy that plays music. So on there, whoever that guy is. So there's some musician that's on there that has the same name as me. Anyway, I'm the one that talks about movies, and you can follow me on Letterboxd if you want my first initial reaction to any movie I ever see at CWilliams991. I'm on Instagram at Colin Williams Reviews, and I'm on Twitter at Colin Williams MR. And I just wanted to say to everyone out there to please stay safe during these crazy times, whether it's COVID or the protests or whatever. So please be careful, make good decisions, and good luck to all of you. And yeah, this was a fantastic episode. I wanted to personally thank Sean myself for coming on. Awesome time. And Sean and I did a video together too, so I guess if you haven't somehow seen that yet too, we did Drive Brisk Baby Driver, check that out because that was fun. So yeah.
You have anything coming out on your channel?
I got Incredible Hulk coming tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Not much, honestly. I'm sure I got stuff that'll come out soon, but like nothing. Kind of like what Sean's saying. It's just craziness.
Yeah.
Just random video ideas. I might shoot that.
Yeah, I planned out pretty much the rest of the summer. Is that gonna go into fruition? Who knows? But anyway, yes, guys. If you all know me around, you found me, or if you type my name on YouTube, you either find a female soccer player or me. Obviously, click the man. But anyway, if you guys know, I post every single week on social media what I have coming out for my channel. Look out for my review for Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which I just got on Blu-ray.
Which is my overrated pick for week 1 too.
Yes, I will be reviewing that as well as doing a top 10 list. Something I do a lot now during this quarantine. Top 10 underrated MCU characters. That's one I will be doing this week, as well as just another live Q&A live stream. Why not? Nothing really else to do. Thank you guys so much for watching episode 11. Look forward to next week's episode. We got a very awesome guest in store for you guys. It's going to be awesome. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time. Peace.